Well, they're obviously necromancers, so they're probably using the bones in a ritual or something.
Maybe it's the daughter trying to raise him back from the dead.
Could be.
I guess I only needed 38 seconds. Okay. Okay.
I
so
just
that's
assume
the-
I'm still healing here, or at least attempting to, and failing miserably.
So how does that work? Because I know that you become immune to it for
An hour.
a certain period of time. It's an hour.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
1 hour, yeah.
Okay. The sheriff says that it's clearly a there's a decent chance that the attack at some point, maybe this was the whole purpose. He doesn't know. It's certainly a dark omen. He doesn't know why somebody would want the remains of Ezekiel, but he's sure it's not for any good purpose. He says that look, the town has been through so much. He's basically begging you guys not to to keep this information as secret as possible, to where don't talk about it at all with any of the other residents of the town. They've been through enough as it is, between the chopper and then the church, and then when we finally think that things are returning to normal, an attack like this. That's what he asks.
So does the captain have any idea why a warband with goblins would be interested in stealing a corpse or both?
Doesn't make
so
any
strange.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to him why goblins would want anything to do with this.
We already know someone else is in charge. I'm talking
Well,
about
there was a human with them, but well,
And that's
Humanoid.
very disturbing for him. He also notes that somebody had to help them get over the wall. At the very least, and he still, he makes mention of the fact that only explains, these 6, and obviously a lot more goblins got into town than 6. So
Can we see where in the wall they climbed over, or
like,
is there a weak point in the wall?
Nope, there's no the walls doesn't appear to have any weak points.
are there any signs of they having ladders or rope or something at
so
the wall?
As you guys are discussing things, the guard does approach, and does appear to be carrying a ladder that he reports to the sheriff was found on the other side of the wall, right around where the point where you saw the breach happen. Which, again, it's heavily forested right there, as you can see.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did they get back out then? There was no ladder on this side, was there?
Yeah, you don't know.
They could have had a rope hanging from the top or something, maybe.
Or maybe they didn't go back over the wall.
Oh.
Correct. These are all perfectly fine suppositions, given the information that you have currently.
Do their tracks lead back to the wall?
Do their tracks lead back?
It's like we found their tracks before we started fighting the skeletons.
Yeah, and the tracks are there, but there's tracks that go to and from the wall.
But they don't go anywhere other than the grave,
and they go to the tomb and nowhere
The problem
else.
is, so the problem is that even if there are some tracks that go to the path, but then once you're on the path, there's there's so many tracks that it's not, that gets lost indiscernibly. Now you'd think, right, the sheriff, supposes that even in the chaos, it doesn't seem likely that. I mean, granted, it's not like we're talking about a full skeleton's worth of remains here or anything like that, but a human running with goblins seems like it would have drawn some attention. So he's not convinced that they left the boneyard. Now, they could have, potentially escaped via the river or something like that. But he would think that they would have to have had a boat waiting for them or something. But he's not willing to necessarily rule that out. Or they just went back over the wall by either having an
But-
individual,
Would a human leaving the boneyard and the city have drawn attention if the goblins would have continued to attack the city somehow?
Potentially not. Although he doesn't have any reports of people. I mean, the guards were pulled away from the entries, so it is possible that a humanoid may have left without being noticed because in the chaos.
Oh, they might have left with the ladder on this side then, you think?
Well, what he does say is that there's always the potential that there were two goblins that stayed at the top of the that stayed at the top of the wall, lifted the ladder up, brought it back down for them to other people to get up, and then put it back down the other side.
It's a fair
This is
assessment.
Juliet.
So it's unlikely they're still in town hiding, probably.
Probably not.
Whoever the goblins had helping, maybe, but we don't know who, so can't go
How
around pointing fingers.
deep is the tomb? Is it like just big enough for a few bodies, or like is it further in?
So it's a 20 by 20 structure, right?
Okay.
So there's probably, you've got Ezekians who's kind of like got this place of special rest, essentially, and then kind of lining the walls. So you probably have maybe another dozen people laid to rest inside.
And nothing else looks disturbed?
Nothing else at all looks disturbed.
You said there was a black cloak, right?
That's yes. Well, it's a robe.
And you said there were patches on it?
There were places where the sheriff is indicating there were patches that were removed. He's heard of these robes before as being tools of necromancers.
Why was that kept in the crypt, or is it new?
He doesn't think it was. His guess is that it was brought with the desecrators.
And they used it to spawn the skeletons that attacked us.
That would make sense to him if that's what happened.
There would be no reason to leave it behind, though, unless he wanted to disguise himself and then walk into town, pretend that he was there all along. That's what I think happened.
It's what Cal is also believing.
We haven't seen anyone who wore a robe like this before, have we?
No, you've never come into contact with somebody with a robe like that.
Gip would
patches
like
were
to
torn
ask the
off.
captain who knew that this priest was buried here.
Probably
Everybody in
everyone.
town. I mean, it's not a secret, right?
Yeah, not
He was
that,
one of
but it indicates that somehow someone from the town might have their hands in this.
Yeah, I
Someone
mean,
from in town is involved in some way.
Sure. I mean, he at that thought, he gets a very concerned look on his face because he says, "Frankly, I don't know who in town would possibly want to be consorting with goblins." And
How
for
often
what?
do you tell out of towners about the tomb?
I mean, it's not we don't keep it secret, right? What's happened here is, there are small villages, and we do trade with the outside world. This is the most I mean, it's very clear that you are right that whoever came to they didn't just grab a random corpse, right? They did clearly come specifically for this one. And so it does, at the very least, it has to be somebody with knowledge of the, for him, it's more like, why these remains? Why are these remains? It wasn't just any remains. It were these remains.
Mhm.
Yeah, and even that
Father Tobin.
still probably makes more sense for someone from here than to an outsider. Why
He
would an
agrees.
outsider want these?
It's either
remains?
it's either somebody from in the town or an outsider who has was previously a member of the town, or like there definitely is some sort of, he agrees with the conclusion that you're drawing, that there's got to be some sort of connection to somebody in the town.
This is very concerning.
So back to that daughter of the priest.
Okay, what about her?
Did they have any land or anything they owned outside of the town?
No. Nualia is her name.
Mm-hmm.
And she was the one who was thought to have died in the fire, but her body was never recovered.
Correct.
Right?
And again,
How
if you bring this up to him, are you bringing this up to the sheriff, or you're just asking me?
What evidence do they have that she died if they didn't find her body?
There were
She
several
was
other.
gone.
Yeah, I mean, basically, her last known whereabouts were in the temple, or when it burned. There's no indication other than that, and it was like he says, the sheriff tells you, if you're saying any of this to him, he's going to say, he'll look at you incredulously, like, what other possible explanation could there be? The temple basically the place, her house burned down, and it was a mess, right? And they barely found anything. He kind of confesses that, even the remains that were buried here were our best guess that they were Ezekians. So, they didn't, this isn't CSI, right? Like, they don't have the ability to necessarily, but the fire was, he does remember that the fire was very intense and severe. And so it doesn't shock him that nothing was found that could be attributed as her remains.
Maybe Ezekiel survived. These are Nualia's bones. Ezekiel turned evil and is now trying to resurrect Nualia's body.
You say this out loud? Maybe
I'm not even in
Blondie
the
does
room.
Okay, I was about to say, I'm like, that's Xion talking.
Mar, you're getting on top of the wrong person. You need to get on top of the puppet and
Okay,
just kind of.
all right. Nope. No, just no.
Why not?
Stop
Certainly
laughing.
be easier.
I'm gonna look around at everybody, and we're all pretty exhausted and wet.
Yep.
And I'm gonna say, maybe we should think about this in the morning.
The sheriff, says it has been a long day. It's going to be a longer night for him, but he does agree that you guys should probably head back. Please go together. Keep each other safe on your way back. And again, don't speak to anyone about this.
Forrest is gonna say, "You can count on us." Okay, I'm done.
Sheriff's like, "What? Who are you again? Are you? You look vaguely familiar, like a person who's been
Causing trouble.
I'm the savior.
Terrorizing the children."
Oh, I think there was a misunderstanding.
I
Little
should hope so.
effigy dioramas of Blondie like overpowering the evil character of Forrest in their little shrines.
Oh, yeah, that might be it.
Could be.
Nice.
Could be.
That makes me like Jesus and them into like the devil then. If I was like the devil.
Okay. Okay, I
Wow.
like this. We can keep this going. That's good.
Okay, yeah, run with that. I love it. Fully support. Yeah.
Whoops, did we do that?
Oh boy. I don't know what you were trying to determine there, Xion, but
No, I'm fixing my sheet. For some reason, it has everything at a -1, even though I don't have frightened anymore.
He wanted to
Okay.
nerf himself because he's the son of God, so he has to, control himself a little bit.
Not even
So-
-1 to everything would do that, man.
Wow.
You guys head back to the inn?
Yep.
Okay. So at this point, I am going to ask that we pause, mostly because I need cadence here for the next part, and He's clearly hasn't been here. So
Dun, dun, dun.
the good news is all of you are gonna
Yeah.
make level 2 before he does. So that's gonna be a lot of fun.
Hey!
I didn't say you were gonna make it yet. I just said you're gonna
Aw.
make it before he does.
Oh,
Misled.
Damn it.
Mhm.
So, actually, you know what? Hold on. I might be able to give it to you. Let me take a look real quick.
You'll still have to answer my question about the proficiencies and powers.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. You and I will handle that, and as soon as I look this up to see if I can give this to you.
Oh, I think
Kate-
that fixed it.
Cadence never answered, so I assume something may have happened.
Yeah. Apparently.
Mar, you're making the assumption that I care if something happened or not. So,
Wow.
Wow.
That was mean.
yeah, well, yeah. So I can't give it. Well, I will.
You're the DM. What you say goes.
I know,
Yeah.
but I'm trying. I'll tell you what. So I'll give it. There's technically one more encounter that you're supposed to have to do, but because I'll just make that encounter harder. So yeah, you guys can be level 2. That's fine.
hooray!
Or you could just leave it the same and we'll just enjoy curb stomping.
No, that's no fun.
It's fun for us.
So yeah,
And my level up's done.
This guy was ready.
Yeah, no, I literally just needed to change the level.
He has
to
a
2 and I
combat
was
class. He
done.
has to put 2 in his level, and he's done.
I just have to move my
I
feet over
added-
from Path Builder to my.
Yeah, that's
sheet
what
in
I
the
did.
game.
I added 2 things. I added Catfall and I added a key spell, a focus spell.
I may be able to level up by next week.
okay,
Yeah,
good.
I will have to add a few more things, but
Yeah, we'll talk. We can talk just after this. I am exhausted. I'd
Yeah,
love
I
to go
can.
for the next 30 minutes, but
Okay,
I am.
let's go for the next 30
it's
minutes.
fine.
No, I can't.
I am. I've literally I slept in the wrong bed last night, and then I've been DMing since 9 a.m. So
That sounds like a fun
Yeah,
day.
take a rest.
it's
Damn.
it's
Or-
Sounds like a
I'm-
long day, but a fun day.
it's been enjoyable, but I also I should do some parenting and then basically go to bed. So
Yeah,
I
no
appreciate
worries.
it. I'm
Yeah,
glad.
no.
Thanks for the abbreviated session today and understanding that. And then Steven, you've got a question for me in terms of like, what was it exactly that you were trying to get me to?
If I get proficiency with my inventor innovation or not, because the text is
Why can't you just make it a weapon that you have proficiency with already? Because my understanding is it's literally you get to make a weapon, but just modifications to the weapon.
yes, but as I said, if I choose a weapon I have proficiency in, I don't need to take an innovation for it, and I would rather take the pet.
Okay, can you link me? So I need to look up weapon.
It's
weapon
all-
innovation?
Sorry about that. Apparently,
The issue is if you take the inventor archetype, you do not get any of the bonuses for the innovation that your inventor does. And for armors, it's like you at least get a special type of armor that has some special
This says something about this says
properties.
you can instead use the statistics of a first level common, simple, or martial weapon of your choice, or another first level simple or martial weapon to choose to which you have access to. But you must pay the monetary price for the weapon. An innovation weapon can have a fundamental and property runes added. Okay, that's the same way an ordinary weapon. Because of the unique features of your innovation, everyone except you is untrained in it. So basically, if somebody else picked it up, they couldn't use it.
Yes.
As well. Even if you would normally be trained or better in simple or martial. Okay. And then there's an overdrive action that you get to use with
No,
it.
that is all the things. Modifications are not for archetypes, overdrive is not for archetypes, and the others explode thing is not for archetypes. They have no access to that. That's why I say if you take a weapon for an archetype, you have no benefit from it.
Normally, when you take an archetype as a feat, you get the benefits of that class. It's like multi-classing.
Yeah, but the innovation is a benefit from that.
You
but
don't
the
always get
innovation
full
itself
benefit.
has no effect if I choose it like that.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, that's my problem with it as well. It doesn't seem
If
to
you're
make any
using
sense.
your level 2 thing to take an archetype feat, is that what are you taking? as your level
Inventor
2?
archetype.
Okay. And part of the inventor is innovations, correct?
Yes.
And they get access to those at level 1. Yes?
Yes.
So it doesn't make any sense that you wouldn't be able to use, well, I guess I have to look at overdrive.
No, look at inventor archetype. It's an exception there that you get access to innovation, but none of the modifications or skills for it.
And is overdrive considered a skill?
Yes.
This says it's an action, not a skill.
Yeah, but it's an exception for the archetype inventor.
Yeah, the inventor dedication just says you gain that innovation, though you don't get any abilities that modify or use that innovation, such as modifications or explode.
So I don't get a modification, which you would usually get as an
But what I'm
inventor
saying is
for-
that overdrive is an action that inventors get.
you gain that innovation, so you don't gain any other ability that modify or use that innovation, such as modifications or explode.
To me, it sounds like basically what you would gain access to is you would become proficient in longsword or glaive or something like that you wanted to.
Yeah, that's
That's
why
what it
I think
sounds
it's
like. Is
strange.
it gives you proficiency in a weapon that you don't normally have proficiency in. That would be the only benefit that I could see from this. Because it says if you're doing a weapon innovation, right? It says you instead use the statistics of first level common or other martial must play the monetary rights. An innovation weapon fundamental in runes, blah blah blah. Same. Because of the unique features of your innovation, everyone except you is untrained in it.
Yeah, that's the issue is, or
Whether or
do
not
I
you
get
even
access
become
to
trained in it? Yeah.
overdrive, but it says no ability, so it's
I
confusing
don't know what the difference
to
is
me.
between a level 0 and a first level.
If you go to the character sheet creator and choose inventor, you get overdrive as an action, but when you take the dedication, you don't get that action. So
Yeah,
I'd say you
that-
don't get overdrive.
Yeah, that's what I thought too, because for if I take the armor, I automatically get proficiency in Path Builder,
There's
but
gotta
for the
be a
weapon
way-
I don't, and it's
The-
confusing as hell.
If you take the archetype, that's like the level 1 dip, but then I'm guessing that opens you up to additional feats later that let you utilize these things. That's the only thing that makes any sense.
Yeah, I can, if I have on level 8, I can take a single basic modification for
there
the
you go.
innovation.
Okay, all right. So there you go. So basically, you'd have to wait till level 8 for it to be useful.
Yeah,
At that
but
point, you should just wait to retrain. There's no reason to do it now.
Well, if you take a different one at level 2, you should have 2 other skills from the archetype by level 8, so you just pick it for that one then?
Sure.
Well, you can choose to, but usually, like the level 4 and 6 ones are not always that good.
yeah, but even then, as I said, it's if I get the modification only at level 8, I would rather take the construct at level 2.
Sounds
And
like you
then I
should
have
do
an
that.
additional action per round and some other benefits. It's way more impactful than having a weapon I can use anyway.
Yeah, I agree.
So this is why I asked, can I use a weapon I couldn't normally use?
It looks that way, but it doesn't say it either. So
Yeah, that's why I quoted that other people put it like the GM has to decide. And well, that's why I asked you.
sure, I will let you do it. If you want to basically use, frankly, one of the most powerful, one of the best ways to increase your power level of your character as just giving you access to a weapon that you normally couldn't use, sure.
I mean, that's why I just picked the normal weapon because I can't even use a short sword because it's a martial weapon in this thing and not.
Yeah,
basic
you
one.
basically pick one weapon, right? So it's basically the version of exotic weapon proficiency, but you can pick a bastard sword or a short sword or a long sword or whatever, whatever martial weapon that you want to use, but it's just the one, and it's just this, and you don't even get access to the weapon, you get access to like this specific innovation that you have. Exactly. Does that make sense? So if you want to make it a glaive, right? Or a fashard or whatever, right? It can be that, but it's this one.
Okay, so you would even remove the restriction that it has to be some kind of normal weapon. I still don't know where the level is.
Well, it needs
0
to
and
be.
1.
It does. I guess it can't be exotic. It needs to be a simpler martial. Yeah.
Yeah, no advanced. Okay.
Yeah. Correct.
Okay.
All right.
Then I might change the weapon.
Does anybody have any other questions for today?
Just a question on leveling up.
Which is what?
Would the spell grease, would I be able to light that on fire with my other spells?
There's nothing that says that happens.
Hmm.
But I'm not gonna say no, right? Like I like the idea of combining spells and stuff like that, and I think it makes for more interesting gameplay. But I'm gonna determine based on circumstance, one, how easily it happens, two, the type of damage it's gonna cause, that kind of stuff. So I'm not gonna give you any hard fast numbers as far as that goes. But yes, you should be able to light flammable things on fire. Grease being one of them.
And people that are greasy are also one of them.
Correct.
What's up?
Nothing. You just inspire me every day.
For what?
Violence, clearly.
Okay.
Let's be clear that today's session was a resounding success, if nothing else, for the first time that damage does an attack roll the next time it's around.
That gif in the chat is
now the
very
problem is,
distracting.
Blizz, if you've
I love
if you've been recording, you're not allowed to share this with him until at least next week. You can say, "Oh, there's a problem with my recorder," and blah blah blah. We need him to.
Oh, I already started with saying, "Oh man, I had some tech issues. I don't know."
Okay.
But,
Good.
He did indeed, but he did say he was recording. So
Okay, perfect. I'm glad. So be like, "Oh yeah, the quality is just terrible" or something. But yeah, okay. All right. Well, if there's any other questions?
Nah.
No, sir.
Don't think so.
All right. Well, I will see.
Now that we leveled up, we can replace an old spell with a new spell if we want, right?
If that is how your class works, which normally most classes are that way, then yes.
I think Sorcerer does, yes. Okay.
Yeah. I will. Actually, you might want to double check that though, because I think sorcerers, you pick them and they're kind of yours. So I'm not sure about that 100%. I know that that's not how it works in 1E, for example, because you're learning them. You get them through like your natural magic as opposed to learning them per se. So you should double check that. What was I gonna say? To the mine people here, my
Yes.
flight on Friday. Hold on. I'm flying out Wednesday, coming back Friday. My flight on Friday gets in